Hey, music time travelers! Today we're stepping into the totally tubular world of September 20th, 1980 for MusicGoldmine.com's Top 10s Revisited, a time when feathered hair was in, arcades ruled, and the Billboard Hot 100 was stacked with certified classics. We'll also be showing you some real record awards for these artists. Brandy from MusicGoldmine.com here. Welcome back to the channel, where we rewind, revisit, and rock out to the best hits from the past. So let's head back to September 20th, 1980 to count down the top 10. Kicking us off at number 10 is the iconic Rolling Stones with Emotional Rescue. Emotional Rescue is not your typical Stones rock anthem. Instead of gritty guitars and bluesy vibes, this track leans into funk and disco. It's groovy, it's sexy, and it's got Mick Jagger falsettoing his heart out like he's auditioning for the Bee Gees. The song climbed all the way to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Let's talk about the real star of this track, Mick Jagger's vocal. I mean, who knew the man could hit those high notes? It's like he was channeling his inner Prince before Prince was even Prince. Maybe he helped inspire Prince. Jagger described the falsetto as his attempt to bring some humor to the song. And honestly, mission accomplished. Mick originally sang the verses in a lower register, but Keith Richards convinced him to crank it up an octave. And can we talk about that spoken word outro? It's Mick at his most theatrical, whispering sweet nothings that sound like a late night call on a 1980s dating hotline. The Rolling Stones proved they could evolve with the times. Sure, they had their critics, but the song's success spoke for itself. It's been called one of their most playful tracks, and it shows the band wasn't afraid to have a little fun and shake things up. The album with the same name would be certified 2 times platinum. Sliding into number 9 is One in a Million You by Larry Graham. The track was released in 1980 and quickly became Larry Graham's signature solo hit. It soared to number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the R&B charts. But here's the thing. Graham wasn't just any artist. Before this solo gem, he was the bass-slapping genius behind Sly and the Family Stone, and the creator of the slap bass technique. That's right, funk fans, this love song crooner was also a funk pioneer. Now let's talk about those lyrics. You're one in a million, you. I mean, come on. If anyone sang that to you, how could you not melt on the spot? The song's all about finding that one person who changes your life and makes everything feel magical. Larry actually recorded the song as a way to show off his softer, more romantic side, breaking away from his funky roots. And here's something you probably didn't know. Larry Graham was also Prince's mentor. Yep, the Purple One himself looked up to Larry for inspiration. He even had him playing bass on his tours from 1997 to 2000. So not only did Larry give us this amazing love song, but he also helped shape one of music's greatest legends. Both the single One in a Million You and the album with the same name were certified gold. Revving into number 8, it's Eddie Rabbitt with Driving My Life Away. This song was the ultimate anthem for truckers, road trippers, and anyone who spent long hours behind the wheel. Released in June 1980, this song reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the country charts. That's right, Eddie Rabbitt brought country flair into the mainstream with this infectious tune. Rabbitt wrote this song as a tribute to truck drivers. Yep, those unsung heroes of the road who keep the world moving. The lyrics capture the grind of long hours, late nights, and chasing that elusive dream. Kind of like what we all do, but with better scenery. Eddie himself was no stranger to the road. He worked as a truck driver before hitting it big in music. The song was co-written by Rabbitt, David Malloy, and Even Stevens. Steven also co-wrote I Love a Rainy Night with Eddie, proving that they were a very successful team of country pop crossover writers. This hit single would be certified gold. Landing at number 7 with Late in the Evening is Paul Simon. Released in 1980 as the lead single from Paul Simon's album One Trick Pony. Simon wrote this song for the semi-autobiographical movie One Trick Pony, which he also starred in. This song kicks off with an iconic horn riff courtesy of a killer brass section led by famed arranger Dave Grusin. It's like the musical equivalent of a warm hug, inviting, comforting, and impossible to resist. And then there's that Latin-inspired groove. Simon was heavily influenced by Afro-Cuban and Caribbean music, and you can feel it in the rhythm. Late in the evening, climbed all the way to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, proving that Paul Simon could dominate the charts even into the 1980s. Did you know? Simon was so meticulous about the sound of this track that he spent hours in the studio perfecting the horn arrangements. One Trick Pony would be certified gold. At number 6 is George Benson with Gimme the Night. Let's set the scene. It's 1980, the disco era is fading, but funk and jazz are still alive and grooving. Enter George Benson, a jazz guitarist with silky smooth vocals who's about to drop a solid hit. The title track of his album was produced by none other than Quincy Jones. This song was written by the late Rod Temperton, the mastermind behind hits like Michael Jackson's Thriller and Rock With You. Give Me the Night wasn't just a hit, it was a massive hit. It reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the R&B and jazz charts. Basically, it was everywhere. If you had a radio in 1980, you were grooving to it. This song also helped Benson snag a Grammy for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance in 1981. The jazz guitarist turned R&B crooner. The mix of jazz, funk, and R&B was irresistible, and this track was its shining star. So why does Gimme the Night still hold up decades later? Because it's a vibe. It's the ultimate feel-good track, smooth, funky, and timeless. The Gimme the Night album would be certified platinum. Let me take a moment to ask you to subscribe to our channel. It's free and it helps us continue to bring you videos like this one. Also, check out musicgoldmine.com, where we have hundreds of record awards like you see in this video and other amazing music memorabilia. Slipping into number 5 with Lookin' for Love is Johnny Lee. Lookin' for Love was written by 3 Nashville songwriters, Wanda Millette, Bob Morrison, and Patty Ryan, who originally pitched it to 20 other artists. Yeah, 20. Johnny Lee wasn't their first choice, but when he got his hands on it, he turned it into pure gold. Talk about being the right guy at the right time. Lookin' for Love became a massive hit thanks to its placement in Urban Cowboy. The movie was a smash and so was the song. It was the anthem for every cowboy and cowgirl looking for romance under those neon lights. Johnny Lee even appeared in the movie, performing at Gilley's, the iconic Texas dance hall where much of the film was set. Looking for Love shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart and even cracked the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song earned Johnny Lee an ACM Award for Best New Male Vocalist of the Year in 1981. Not bad for a guy who was playing small honky-tonks before this hit. So why does Lookin' for Love still make us swoon? It's simple, it's relatable, it's catchy, and it's got just the right mix of heart and honky-tonk swagger. This song would be certified gold. At number 4, we've got Irene Cara with Fame. This anthem is all about chasing your dreams and belting it out while imagining your name in lights. Irene Cara didn't just sing the title song, she starred in the movie as Coco Hernandez. Talk about multi-talented. The song Fame was written by Michael Gore and Dean Pitchford, the same Pitchford who co-wrote the song Footloose. These guys knew how to craft a hit, and when Irene Cara added her powerhouse vocals, it was game over. Instant classic. It hit number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and snagged the Academy Award for Best Original Song in 1981. Oh, and let's not forget the Grammy win for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. Did you know the song's famous line, "Remember My Name," almost didn't make it into the final version? The original draft had a much simpler chorus, but Irene and the writers wanted something unforgettable. Mission accomplished. The soundtrack for Fame would be certified platinum. Coming in at number 3 is the legendary group Queen with Another One Bites the Dust. This massive hit isn't just rock, it's funk all the way with a groovy bass line inspired by funk music. Queen bass player John Deacon, now famously reclusive and not touring with his surviving Queen bandmates or anyone else, came up with that famous bass riff. It's got that funky, smooth 80s groove that sounds like it should be in a disco club. Reportedly, Deacon was influenced by none other than James Brown. That's right, the godfather of soul himself. Shockingly, this song almost didn't make it onto the album. Another One Bites the Dust was a last-minute addition to the 1980 album The Game, but Freddie Mercury was always supportive of Deacon's songs, and the track ended up being one of their biggest hits. In fact, it became Queen's most commercially successful single in the US, hitting #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. You might think it's all about death or someone getting taken out, right? Well, here's the twist. The phrase bite the dust actually means to fail or go down. In fact, Freddie Mercury said he thought of it as a metaphor for someone failing, losing a battle, or just facing defeat in life. So, no, it's not all about some dark, gruesome scenario. It's actually about the everyday struggles we all go through. This single would go on to sell over 5 million copies in the US, earning a 5-time platinum certification. At #2, we have All Out of Love by Air Supply. First up, did you know that All Out of Love is one of those songs that almost didn't exist? The song was written by the dynamic duo of Air Supply, Russell Hitchcock and Graham Russell. But here's the thing, they were broke. They didn't have much money to record, so they had to get creative. They actually started writing the song in the back of a tour bus, just playing around. Little did they know they were crafting one of the most iconic ballads of the 1980s. Now let's talk about that chorus, the part we all know so well. I'm all out of love, I'm so lost without you. Classic, right? But here's the thing, the chorus almost didn't happen like that. Graham Russell was originally going to write a more typical love song, thinking, let's go with something positive, like I'm so in love, I'm so happy. But Russell said that when he and Hitchcock were trying to sing it, it just didn't feel right. So they flipped the script and turned it into this emotional, desperate cry for love. And the song clicked. It reached #2 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and it was also a huge favorite on the radio across multiple genres. Hitchcock, the guitarist, was heavily influenced by classic rock bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, while Russell, lead singer, was more about the smooth romantic ballads of the time. The beauty of All Out of Love lies in how they blended those two worlds. It's probably the reason it resonated with different genres. This single would be certified gold. Topping this week's chart is the legendary Diana Ross with Upside Down. First up, let's talk about the genius behind the music. Upside Down was written and produced by Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards from the band Chic. Now, if you don't know who they are, you've probably heard their work in some of the most funky tracks from the 70s and 80s. We're talking Le Freak, Good Times, and a whole bunch of other hits that basically define the disco era. Niall's signature guitar riffs and Bernard's bass lines are what made Upside Down such a funky sensation. Okay, so Upside Down was released in 1980, right at the tail end of the disco era. But here's the thing, disco had been canceled by then thanks to the infamous Disco Demolition Night in 1979. Yeah, that really happened. On July 12, 1979, at Comiskey Park in Chicago, Illinois, a local rock DJ organized an event for a crowd attending a baseball game, had them bring disco records to be blown up in a box at center field between baseball games. The event turned into a bit of a riot, with fans and disco haters invading the field in the second game, but it also was symbolic as the beginning of the end for disco's popularity. But hey, honestly, it's just music, people, and Upside Down came along and got the dance party started again. In truth, the song shares as much with pop, R&B, and soul as it does with disco. Anyway, Upside Down is about the emotional chaos of a relationship that feels completely out of control. The lyrics are all about someone's feeling turned around upside down because their lover's actions are kind of crazy. Despite the emotional turmoil, the song still makes you want to dance like there's no tomorrow. This single would also be certified gold. And that wraps up our musicgoldmine.com top 10s revisited for the week ending September 20th, 1980. From country crossovers to Queen funkin' it up to disco and dance music surviving, it was a week to remember. What's your favorite track from this list? And let us know a week you'd like to see revisited in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more top 10s revisited, and check out the link to our store where you can find most of this top 10's featured artists. Until next time, keep dancing and rocking.